scene of utter devastation and chaos as an unprecedentedly violent convective storm system, characterized by ferocious gale-force winds and a destructive hailstorm, tore through the Angeles city of Pampanga province in Central Luzon. The extreme meteorological event triggered a catastrophic structural failure, causing a 9-story commercial building currently under active construction in Angeles City to collapse entirely into a massive pile of pulverized concrete and twisted rebar. As night fell over the province, a massive multi-agency search and rescue (SAR) operation was aggressively launched. Local authorities have confirmed that dozens of construction workers who were on duty during the weekend shift are now trapped deep within the structural voids of the pancaked building. The incident has prompted a swift federal and provincial response, drawing intense national scrutiny toward urban safety protocols, structural integrity standards, and the growing intensity of severe weather anomalies in the tropical archipelago. According to real-time Doppler radar data and emergency bulletins issued by local weather spotters, the severe weather event began as a rapidly developing localized convective cell over the mountainous terrains of nearby provinces before drifting directly into the central plains of Pampanga. Within less than an hour, the atmospheric column destabilized rapidly due to high thermal energy on the ground, interacting with an influx of mid-level cold air, creating an idealized environment for a supercell-type thunderstorm. By approximately 2 p.m., the skies over Angeles City, Mabalacat, and the Clark Freeport Zone turned an ominous, deep charcoal gray. Daylight was almost completely obscured as the massive wall of clouds descended over the metropolitan areas. Within minutes, the storm unleashed an intense barrage of rain, coupled with violent straight-line winds that dynamic monitoring systems estimated reached gusts between 80 to 100 kilometers per hour. What shocked residents most was the sudden, deafening sound of solid objects pelting metal roofs and concrete pavements. The severe thunderstorm began dropping large quantities of hailstones, frozen chunks of ice ranging from the size of marbles to golf balls. While hail is not entirely unheard of in the tropical climate of the Philippines, the sheer volume and prolonged duration of this specific hailstorm were highly anomalous for the province of Pampanga. Social media platforms were quickly flooded with videos captured by terrified citizens showing ice pellets blanketing streets, smashing through the windshields of parked vehicles, breaking residential glass windows, and shredding the canvas awnings of commercial establishments. The high-velocity impact of the hail, combined with the blinding sheet of torrential rain, instantly reduced horizontal visibility to near zero, paralyzing vehicular traffic along major thoroughfares including the MacArthur Highway and the North Luzon Expressway, NLEX, exits. At the absolute peak of the storm's fury, the primary disaster struck in a bustling commercial and residential district of Angeles City. A 9-story building, which was in its advanced structural framing and concrete pouring phase, became the epicenter of the tragedy. According to eyewitnesses who were taking shelter in a gasoline station across the street, the building's temporary external scaffolding began buckling under the immense wind shear. Seconds later, a succession of loud, explosive structural cracks echoed through the air, distinct from the continuous rolling thunder overhead. The entire 9-story concrete and steel skeleton suffered a total progressive structural failure. Witnesses described the collapse as a pancake effect, where the top floors crashed vertically downward, sequentially crushing every floor beneath them. In less than 10 seconds, the towering structure was completely reduced to a dense, chaotic mountain of debris, sending a massive plume of concrete dust into the air that mixed with the heavy rain. The immediate aftermath of the collapse was met with panic. The immense weight of the falling building caused a localized tremor felt several hundred meters away. Surrounding power lines and utility poles were violently ripped down, instantly cutting off electricity to the entire barangay and plunging the immediate vicinity into darkness, save for the flashing hazard lights of trapped vehicles. Civilians and nearby residents braved the continuing hail and rain to approach the perimeter, met by the screams of wounded individuals who had been near the sidewalk, or on the periphery of the construction fence when the building came down. The Angeles City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office, ACDR-RMO, in coordination with regional health units, immediately established a command post to track casualties. Because the disaster occurred on a Sunday, initial assumptions leaned toward a lower worker occupancy. However, site logs later revealed that the contractor had a full complement of laborers working overtime to meet strict project deadlines. The breakdown of the casualties as verified by emergency responders currently stands as follows. One worker has been officially recovered and pronounced dead at the scene. The individual sustained catastrophic blunt force trauma from falling structural slabs. Authorities are withholding the identity pending formal notification of the immediate family. 19 individuals have been successfully extricated from the outer layers of the debris field. These survivors exhibit a range of severe injuries, including compound fractures, internal hemorrhaging, severe lacerations, and crush syndrome. They were triaged at the site and rapidly transported via a fleet of municipal and Red Cross ambulances to the Rafael Lazatin Memorial Medical Center, the Jose B. Lingad Memorial General Hospital, and other trauma facilities in San Fernando and Clark. The most harrowing aspect of the disaster is the remaining unaccounted-for workforce. Official labor manifests indicate that anywhere between 21 and 40 construction workers remain missing, heavily feared to be buried deep beneath the multi-layered concrete ruins. As news of the collapse spread across Pampanga and neighboring provinces, distraught family members of the construction workers began converging on the disaster perimeter. Held back by police lines, mothers, wives, and children stood in the rain, weeping and desperately trying to call the mobile phones of their missing loved ones. In some instances, calls went through but remained unanswered, while others reported hearing faint ringing tones echoing from beneath the concrete piles, adding an agonizing layer of urgency to the rescue operations. Recognizing the sheer scale of the structural collapse, local first responders immediately called for regional reinforcement. Within hours, Ground Zero was flooded with elite search and rescue units from various sectors. The rescue operation is being widely described as one of the most complex and dangerous structural rescue efforts in the recent history of Central Luzon. The teams are facing an array of severe operational impediments. The building did not fall uniformly. Several massive concrete columns and fractured floor slabs are dangling precariously over the central rescue zone. The slightest shifting of weight could trigger a secondary collapse, which would instantly crush both trapped survivors and the rescuers themselves. The building was highly reinforced with thick steel rebar grids. Rescuers cannot simply use bulldozers or heavy excavators to dig through the pile, as heavy machinery could cause the debris to shift downward, sealing off survival voids. Instead, teams must utilize hydraulic cutters, diamond-tipped circular saws, and oxyacetylene torches to meticulously cut through steel framework piece by piece. The severe thunderstorm caused localized flooding around the base of the construction site. Water has pooled in the basement levels where several workers are believed to have sought shelter, raising the immediate threat of hypothermia or drowning for anyone trapped below. Furthermore, the severed electrical grid has created potential electrocution hazards despite the power company cutting off the main grids. The lack of ambient light has forced the operation to rely entirely on high-powered industrial floodlights powered by mobile generators. The long shadows and harsh lighting make it incredibly difficult for engineers to spot structural micro-movements in the rubble. Engineers on site are utilizing specialized acoustic listening devices, ultra-sensitive microphones that are placed on concrete slabs to detect the faintest sounds of human life, such as rhythmic tapping, scratching, or muffled vocal cries. Every 30 minutes, the entire rescue site is ordered into absolute silence. all heavy machinery is shut down, and hundreds of workers freeze in place as technicians listen into the depths of the wreckage. Whenever a K9 unit alerts or an acoustic device picks up a potential signal, rescue teams pivot immediately to hand digging, passing buckets of broken concrete down human chains to carefully breach the specific pocket. While the primary focus remains single-mindedly fixed on the preservation of life and the extrication of survivors, the local government unit, LGU of Angeles City, under strict directives from provincial and national leaders, has ordered the immediate sealing of all administrative records tied to the construction project. An independent, multidisciplinary forensic engineering task force has been formed to investigate the root causes of the structural failure. The investigation will be multifaceted, seeking to answer critical questions regarding whether this disaster was purely an act of God due to the extreme hailstorm, or if it was heavily exacerbated by human negligence and corporate corner-cutting. High-ranking provincial officials have issued stern, zero-tolerance statements to the press. The provincial leadership emphasized that if architectural flaws, subpar materials, or regulatory bribery are found to have played any role in the collapse, the government will pursue the maximum criminal charges against the developers, the primary contractors, and any complicit government inspectors. We will not allow the lives of our hardworking laborers to be treated as collateral damage for corporate greed or administrative negligence, an official statement read. The full force of the law will be brought down upon those responsible. The geographical location of the collapse has had an immediate cascading effect on the economic pulse of Angeles City. The cordoned-off disaster zone has forced traffic authorities to implement sweeping rerouting schemes, blocking access to major commercial corridors. Hundreds of small to medium enterprises surrounding the site, including retail stores, restaurants, and corporate offices, have been ordered to temporarily suspend operations due to structural safety sweeps and the lack of stable power. The economic loss to the immediate district is estimated to run into millions of pesos for every day the rescue and subsequent demolition operations continue. The storm's violent winds and the building's fall combine to annihilate a critical node of the localized electrical distribution network. Multiple high-voltage transformers were crushed, and transmission lines were severed across several blocks. The local electric corporation has deployed round-the-clock emergency lineman crews to isolate the damaged sectors and reroute power through alternative grids. However, officials warn that full rehabilitation of the damaged electrical infrastructure could take several days, leaving thousands of residential households and commercial consumers reliant on emergency power protocols. The sheer violence of the hailstorm, coupled with the horrific sight of a collapsing multi-story building, has left a deep psychological scar on the local community. Longtime residents noted that while they are accustomed to annual typhoons, the suddenness of the supercell thunderstorm and the falling ice felt apocalyptic. Local health units are partnering with non-governmental organizations to deploy mental health professionals and trauma counselors to the area, prioritizing the families of the victims and the first responders who are enduring immense psychological stress at ground zero.